Hey everyone, really interesting topic and discussion today with an innovator when it comes to AI-driven contract negotiations. Who would have thought of that from Pactum? Kaspar, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks so much for joining from Estonia. Would love to hear about your personal bio and background and the mission at Pactum. Give us some background on the big idea.
I'm happy to. My background, I work for government of Estonia. I established
Mm,
e-residency, become a digital citizen of Estonia, and was running that for 5 years. So building AI for government, making government to act like a startup. Uh, 5 years after that, then I stepped down, and now last 5 years building Pactum. We have built the largest AI agent platform for enterprises. So we have AI agents like chatbots who reach out suppliers of large enterprises and conduct autonomous negotiations. So go through agreements, deals, preferences of each other, and agree on new terms and sign those deals autonomously, so that no humans involvement is needed, and the AIs are growing the business in the background.
amazing. So, what inspired the vision behind Pactum? It's a fascinating idea. Now, of course, there's a lots of excitement around autonomous agents, but what was the original vision and how did it evolve over the last few years?
Yeah, it was 5 years ago. So back then we didn't have large language models, and people really didn't appreciate chats like that, right? So idea came together by three founders. So besides me, my older brother Christian, who was AI lead at Starship Technologies, and Martin Rand, who sold his last company, and he brought the topic of negotiations to our table. That negotiations are like something that humans are not excelling at, right? We have these biases. We don't have time, and when we merged negotiations with AI, this came the autonomous negotiations part, the AI agents that do negotiations by themselves. And back then, of course, there weren't too many people who believed that AI can do business autonomously, that suppliers or other parties would trust their business relations to AI. It was called nonsense, because you do business with humans and you negotiate with humans. But for us, it was very clear. We did first pilot like 2 months after going establishing Pactum, and it worked out that there was a limousine car owner who got 80 euros better deal, and we saved both parties some value and autonomously. So, and then we knew that hey, there is win-win deal possibility for two parties, and it can happen without human beings involved. So it was great milestone, and after that we became Walmart became our largest customer, and after that, now working mostly with enterprise customers.
Fantastic. So, maybe dive in a little deeper into how Pactum leverages AI to handle complex negotiations and how does it work versus the traditional approach we're all familiar with in the B2B world.
Yes. So there are two main scenarios. One is deeply inside procurement end-to-end process. It's called source to pay or procure to pay, and inside that process, basically, you have SAP Ariba or Coupa type of systems, and then negotiations are triggered automatically. So if you want to buy something, let's say an iPhone case, and you want to buy them, let's say, a million of those, then there is a requisition created in spend systems. And instead of just purchasing that, negotiations automatically happen with this supplier or other suppliers, going through different terms like when can it be produced, the quality matters, the price, the payment days, and through negotiations trying to find a better deal and agreeing on that deal automatically. So this is one part of the process: renewal of a contract, purchase of some item, price lists in car manufacturing, for example, very popular, like thousands of lines of price lists that you need to go through all the time, and humans are not capable of. Inside procurement process. Other is like strategic initiatives. Let's say President-elect Donald Trump comes in, says that Mexico has 30% more tax on all import goods. What do you do then as a, let's say, retailer? Like, will you increase prices 30%? You need to find alternative suppliers. You need to negotiate deals with everyone again, with local suppliers, to kind of commit on volumes with new suppliers elsewhere. And so AI agents like Pactum are used across then large enterprises for these massive strategic initiatives. Like, let's go to these 10,000 suppliers. Let's renegotiate these deals. Let's introduce new allowance, new payment days. Let's commit volumes of or logistics rates. Because environment is changing rapidly around us, and you need to react very fast to these changes. Otherwise, competitors take your place.
Amazing approach. Well, let's talk about customer impact. Clearly important for an early stage company. Do you have any examples, stories, or anecdotes on how you're transforming procurement or vendor negotiations as you describe them for clients?
Yeah, mostly it's very measurable for our buyers who are the owners of this extra value. Because if you know that you used to pay million for this dollar for this iPhones, let's say, now you pay 100K, you say 100K, right? Or other way around, and hence you can measure how much each buyer generates savings. This is pure bottom line savings. Of course, there are like automation savings, that buyer has more time to deal with strategic deals. Buyer has more time around the bureaucracy of managing all of these suppliers and stuff like that. But mostly it's about pure savings in value in dollars for bottom line for the buyers. And for the other side, they need to get something as well. Otherwise, you just refuse, right? You don't do deal. No one can force you to do a deal, right? So how the magic happens through Pactum is that if we find some terms that are valuable for the supplier, some, I don't know, some prefer early cash over longer payment days. Some prefer commitments of volume of business for next year. Some prefer they can expand business, new product lines. Whatever it is in different use cases, there are different incentives and growth plans. And when we offer, then we get something in return. And then the AI is valuing these, like what are the current terms, what are the new terms, and on net, how much value did we save when we count everything together. And if savings are over threshold, then we agree and we sign the deal.
Well, fantastic. And so, what is the human AI collaboration methodology here? I mean, what role do humans play in conjunction with your AI? Is it sort of human in the loop? Is it collaborative? And what's your vision there today and for the future?
Yes. For today, in some use cases, no humans are in the loop, like
Hmm.
very low dollar spend. Let's say you just requisition order goes through and then automatically it goes through negotiation and we update the requisition price, for example. But for deals like 500K up, $1 million up, especially if it comes to 10, $20 million deals, then usually humans are in the loop. So you can modify the negotiation parameters per negotiation, like what are terms, what are the incentives, you just checkbox list, for example, what are our preferences of anchors, acceptance levels. All of this is kind of configurable then by the buyer per negotiation level. So there humans usually want to be in the loop.
Okay, got it. And how do you think about scalability? I mean, supply chains, this is trillions of dollars of, economic activity. There's lots of nuances there. How do you think about this AI scaling across, if you're a Walmart or an Amazon and you put AI into this modality?
Yeah. So in procurement landscape, there are like two terms: indirect spend and direct spend. So indirect spend is everything you purchase for yourself, like IT licenses or cleaning services around the office. And direct spend is you purchase something into production or into resale. So in indirect, it's today kind of plug and play. You use Ariba or Coupa spend management systems, you activate Pactum, and negotiations can go out after some configuration settings. But in direct spend, it needs like a couple of months of configuration for manufacturing, for retail, for logistics lines of businesses. They are more strategic. But all in all, like AI, as we now have proof of 5.5 years, is able to conduct negotiations across the spend, across direct and indirect, across industries, and across geographies. For example, from Australia to US to Germans to Turkeys, you name it. Different cultures have different preferences of the negotiation language and tactics, kind of. But all in all, we have now proof that across the globe, people not are willing only, but sometimes even prefer to speak to AI.
Fantastic. And what are some of the challenges when it comes to adoption? I mean, if you're a company In manufacturing, you might not be at the leading edge of IT or AI. What are some of the common challenges or misconceptions or other roadblocks that you have to overcome to adopt AI for contract negotiations?
Yeah, clearly it's a change management problem more than it's a technological problem. Like how to get buy-in across the company, kind of to trust now AI agents as kind of our colleagues for our workforce, right? Like we are going to coexist with robots, not like Terminators so much, well, bodies and stuff, but like virtual chats and agents who work with us, sometimes internally, sometimes with clients, sometimes with suppliers, and what's the role of them and what's the role of us, kind of. So it's a real kind of change management happening. But in some sense, I find, because I have sold to enterprises before as well and worked for governments, and it seems to me that it's easier to accept AI agents than it is for European companies, for example, to accept any other type of technologies. Usually technologies is sent to like kind of startup hubs, innovation centers or hubs where, we need to do innovation as well, because it's cool. But now with AI, people have realized from C-level that, hey, we won't survive. It's like mandatory. If we don't do it, others will do. And they bring AI and they outperform us totally. So it has become like really strategic bet for even in Europe for more progressive enterprises that we need to double down on AI or we're not here for long.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. The time is now. Let's talk about your vision for the future. I'd be really interested on the government side as well. Everyone in business knows Estonia is kind of the gold standard for e-government, digital government. You were way ahead of the curve there. Even now, we're just getting caught up in the US talking about government efficiency and Doge and these kind of things. What is the opportunity for governments to leverage AI for contract negotiations and procurement? Is this going to revolutionize the way governments spend and procure?
Yes, I think it's a great example to draw how we built e-residency as a government startup, kind of how the alliance of Trump and President-elect Trump and kind of Elon Musk can kind of do the same in U.S. government, kind of how to kind of build U.S. government as a startup in a sense, like, and what are the steps, and it's just super fascinating because first when you kind of release data, let's speak more specifically about procurement, because government procurement is also like exciting things. Usually procurement is quite boring for many, but government procurement is very exciting for everyone because at the end of the day, it's your taxpayers' money and you want to see how it's spent, who spends, how much, and you can soon realize how silly things maybe people spend money on and has been for decades, right? Because it's not visible. So if, first of all, you can make spend visible, the same as in enterprises happens, like you make spend visible and you realize what's going on in the company. Spend visible in government side, kind of, it opens new dialogues and discussions where and how much we should actually spend. And then what it opens, then it's realization. Oh, we should spend less. Okay. And how do you spend less also in government? You need to start adapting to technologies like in private sector, right? You need your spend management tools, right? Like it's silly that in government you don't use the best tools out there that private sector has been using for decades already. First is put the basic systems in place to understand what, then improve processes of procurement, because government procurement, I'm telling you, even in Estonia, is not that great, right? You have this long process and then like minimum bidders win their bids because they offer less and you get worse results through that. And it's so long process that both US government and the Estonian government have asked us Pactum to offer Pactum to them as well. And so far we have refused because it's just so long process for a tech company to start up and you don't want to be involved. So even if a startup doesn't want to sell their products to government, it shows how mess that is, right? So there needs to be that disruption, and AI, of course, is a layer maybe a year after core technology is in place, core data is in place, and then we can kind of adapt AI layer on top of that to kind of help, like Pactum does, help with autonomous negotiations and autonomous procurement.
Fascinating and important topic. What are you personally, what are you and the team excited about over the next few months, yeah, next year, 2025? You obviously have a lot going on. What are you most excited about? I mean, and, is it some of the go-to-market activities, roadmap features? What's on your mind?
Yeah. Mostly last few years, it's been about indirect spend, the less strategic spend, and we have been very fully standardized and automated end-to-end process there. And now we have entered to direct spend, especially let's say in manufacturing, in production lines. And that's super fascinating because, if one car part is not delivered, the entire production line stops, right? So it
Mm,
can be a small supplier, but it's every supplier is very important there. So, and to have AI agents to negotiate these deals and affect direct line of business, which is like 60 to 80% of total revenue of a company, and then AI becomes strategic. And once now AI becomes strategic, then year or two after that, it starts thinking and advising strategically. It starts thinking as our board member colleague or our C-level exec next to us, not only to deliver transactional savings and low tail supplier negotiations, but actually help us to conduct strategies for the company for future, which markets to go, which suppliers to reach, and then execute on those plans the next day, and then next week come with new strategy, new execution, become very agile and very strategic level. And this kind of changes the entire way how I think companies evolve, kind of that they become like so fast growing, so agile. With imagine of these thousands of agents who are autonomously building up the companies, while humans have different roles there. But it's kind of humans together with AI that will race with this against other companies, and kind of the growth numbers I predict will be very different for those companies who are early on adapting AI.
fantastic. Well, thanks so much for joining. I never thought procurement was a topic that would be the least bit interesting to me. You've changed my mind. It's a fascinating opportunity that you have ahead, and you're reinventing this space. It's fantastic to see. Thanks so much for joining, Kaspar.
Thank you, Aaron.
And thanks everyone for listening, watching, and as always, sharing, and take care.